The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Whole and complete. There are no mistakes. We are not victims. This is The Psychology of Spirit with your host, AuKeeRa Rayne. Feel empowered. This program will provide a forum to bring a refreshing view on life. And now, here's AuKeeRa Rayne.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to The Psychology of Spirit. I am AuKeeRa Rayne. Today we will talk about fear. Many of us experience fear on a daily basis, and sometimes we find it very hard to navigate it. The original purpose of fear was based to keep us safe in life. It was a fight-or-flight response to keep us alive. However, now there's not anything that hunts us, but yet on a daily basis, we seem to have fear. Fear that we won't have enough time. Fear that we won't have enough money. Fear that we'll end up alone. How come there is so much fear in this world? How come the fear takes us into directions we don't want to be, into feelings we don't want to feel? How come some days we find it so overwhelming? And how come we look out there in life and there seems to be people not dealing with fear at all? How come there seem to be brave ones that walk without fear? Truth be told, we all have fear. Again, where did it come from? Originally, fear was to keep us safe. Now, as we grow older, based on our life experiences, we read fear into a lot of different things. We don't give ourselves credit for the things that we've overcome. Rather, we use those things against us to keep us from trying new things. If we could reflect back to when we first started walking, we didn't think about falling down. We just stood up and we walked. Yes, we fell, but then we didn't say to ourselves, oh, I might fall again, so I better not get up again. No, we stood up and we walked again. For if we wouldn't do that, none of us would be walking today. And yet, those of us who are able, we walk. If you take your life experiences and draw strength from them, giving yourself credit, it takes away from the fear. However, remember, we have our egos, and our egos are always going to be telling us, you better be afraid. You know, that could happen to you. You better not do that. But the thing is, our egos aren't always right. Yes, it's true. The ego is always going to be there in your head, keeping you from where you're going, cautioning you of where to go, where not to go, telling you that those bad things are out there and they're definitely going to occur. But at the same time, we have the other side of ourselves. The other side of ourselves that can tell us it's going to be okay. Everything is going to work out just fine. You are not alone. You are safe. But it's the development of that other side of our voice that we have to actually work on. You see, we are given our egos to develop an independence. Before we came, we were all spirit, all together, all warm, living in a pure place of unconditional love. We weren't separate of each other. We were all a part of each other. We were all back in the source of oneness. Then we came here. We were born cold, hungry, feeling desperately alone and separate, but yet without fear. For we knew this is where we want to be. Fully intact as a human being and spirit with a whole set of emotions. We were born without fear. Our egos allowed us to become the separate individuals we are today. We required that strength of ego, that strength of separateness, to tell us that we were able to stand on our own 2 feet, to stand strong, separate of our families and separate of other people. Not that we didn't need them. Yes, we want to have other people in our lives, but at the same time, we need us first. So if you notice the voice of ego in your head, it always sounds like a very upset 2-year-old or a very hormonal 15-year-old. Notice they do not have the solutions that an adult needs to navigate through this life. However, we have spent our lifetimes up until this point honing the skills of our ego because it's what we know. Plus, remember, our whole society is based on ego thoughts. Our whole society is based on judgment, fear, control and manipulation of the external world around us. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of what we know and part of what we're used to. But in order to understand and work within fear, we also must develop the other side of ourselves. So it doesn't mean getting rid of ego. Excuse me, it doesn't mean getting rid of negative thoughts. Think of it more like a battery. Positive and negative working together to create a cycle, to create a strength and energy rather than a weakness. So it takes practice to add in those self-supportive thoughts so that the fear your ego has created doesn't take over your life and all of your thoughts. See, when fear gets out of control, it becomes overwhelming. And all of us have had that occur. And that is when we often run to others for help. We need to become our own best friends. We need to be the ones providing the voice that we would normally look for in others. The voice that says, as I stated before, you are not alone. It is okay. And the thing is allow the ego to still say, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be okay. Because if you had a friend that was saying that, you would not abandon them and say, yeah, you're right. It's all going to go. It's not going to turn out. No, of course you wouldn't say that. You'd quickly say, you know, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And if you had a child who is scared and nervous and just not sure, you wouldn't sit down and agree with that child. You would hug them and say, I'm here. You're not alone. There's going to be a solution. You may not like where you are, but it's going to be okay. That's the voice that comes in to develop an ability to accept fear rather than have it overwhelm you. As I mentioned, there are people out in this world that seem to live without no fear at all. They seem to take on things that you nor I would ever think of doing. And they seem to do it with such eloquence and success. Realize those people have just learned to work within their fears. They haven't gotten rid of them. They've just taken them on as something that it's just there. It's okay. They walked through it. We've all heard the expression, feel the fear and do it anyway. And the truth is, that is what life consists of. We are always unsure of what we'll be going into. We are always in a state of dealing with the unknown. No matter how much you try and control the external world around you, you can't. Notice how many days that we've had a set schedule. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, only to be fully pulled in another direction, either by traffic or children, family, or a situation that just arises out of the middle of nowhere. We don't have the ability to control our external. And all we have is our ability to control the way we think about it. And also recall, I said, we have the ability to feel and think both things and many things at once. So we can think, oh, geez, I just don't want to be doing this. But at the same time, adding in the thoughts of, I'm capable, I'll make it through this, the day will go on, I have enough time, it will work out, I am where I need to be. These are things that help balance fear. And these are the things that the other people are doing around us. Our society was based on fear. Religion is a very big part of our society. And it is something that most of us, if not all of us, have grown up in. And it does create a firm belief that if I do something wrong, something bad will happen. Your perception of what you believe in is yours and yours alone. And for you, it is right. Remember, the source that created all of us is an unconditionally loving source. It is a source that does not judge, and a source that is always supportive. But if you tell someone, no matter what you do, it's the right thing at that time, there are people that feel that they are not able to control the masses and what they want them to do. And that's perfectly fine, because those people felt that what they were doing was going to keep the masses safe. And they did what they thought was correct at that time to bring what they believed was peace. But now let's move up to 2010. We're working in a place where fear runs rampant. There are so many things occurring in our life right now that causes deep fear among many people. Fear that things aren't going to be okay. Fear that things aren't going to work out okay. And unfortunately, the powers that be in our world today don't have the ability to say and prove that things are going to be safe and okay. Why? Because they don't control the external either. So that brings us back to controlling and dealing with and accepting that we have the ability to work within our thoughts. To understand that fear doesn't have to run everything we do. To understand that this unconditional love available to us is always there. And that no matter what choice we make at that time, it was the best we could do at that time. If we realize no action is technically wrong because it was the best we could do in that moment, it starts to release the responsibility of possibly making a mistake, possibly saying the wrong thing, or doing the wrong thing. It allows us to move forward, again, sometimes not even knowing where we're going, but still walking a path, knowing that it's the best I can do. Yes, sure, in retrospect, we can look back and say, oh, I should have done that differently. I can't believe I did that. But at the same time, quickly remind yourself, it was the best you could do. Also, you must run at your own personal integrity level. If it feels right for you, in that moment, it was the right thing to do. Guilt and shame form because of fear. Fear that we let somebody down. We're going to take a quick break. Please feel free to email your questions to me. The email address will be given at this break. I look forward to speaking with you on the other side, and I'll be back in a few minutes.